Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Vashawn Jones, visionary of Fedora Outlier LLC, and I am broadcasting live from an undisclosed, no, I'm not undisclosed, in this cramped room at the Hampton Inn while my wife takes a federal test. And I attended an SRC meeting, and it's SRC meetings that I attend around the United States because it's so important to understand where policies and procedures and things are rooted in our government as it relates to individuals with disabilities. And so many of you guys have asked, what is the SRC? And it's the State Rehab Council. And every state has one. And the council is the voice of the consumers. And I know that seems weird because for centuries and decades, we felt that we didn't have a voice, but we actually do. We just need to use it. It's like having the talent to be able to sing and not use it. And every state has a rehab council. And if you get in there and you discuss what is going on in your community and express a solution for solving it, they have no other choice but to listen and implement it. Because I'm going to tell you a secret. It's not a secret, but I'm going to tell you as if it was because it's been kept quiet or never been told to you before. But the government does not know how to get you employed. If they did, they would be. Bottom line. Vocational rehabilitation's only purpose is to get you employed, to facilitate your rehabilitation so that you can be employed. That doesn't mean that they have jobs for you. They don't. You might be able to get a job with the government so they can fulfill that percentage. Very few get it. Thank you to those of you all that have them and continue to push the culture forward. But outside of that, especially now with the Workforce Investment Opportunity Act, every state is focused on employment. And guess what? If you haven't had a track record of getting jobs, it's going to be a hard task for the states. So I attended Georgia's State Rehabilitation Council meeting, state rehab meeting, and here's what we got. Sean Casey spoke about the vision, and the biggest piece to that, he's the director of the whole agency, and he spoke about the consumers, us, the blind people, the deaf people, the individuals with cognitive disabilities, anyone who's disabled. We're the most important piece. We're the most important piece. Sounds really, really good. I can tell you this. Every single procedure that everyone, including itself, spoke about had nothing to do with the client. It was all internal. We're the most important piece. But no one has asked the consumer. Did they ask you? Tell me. If they did, I want to know, where was that meeting when they asked you, hey, what's wrong with our system? We're the consumer. We're the most important piece. He even went around the state and visited centers and visited the various state locations. And you know where he stopped shy at? The employers, and he stopped shy of the consumers, the two pieces that make this thing all work. And it's fine to go meet the individuals in the state and let them know who you are and what the vision is. But, you know, like he said, nobody as a consumer is walking into his office to get a case closed. So we've heard it, right? We've heard it all before. Ah, the new director of blind and deaf services. So if you were thinking about applying, as a few of you guys have mentioned, don't unless you already work within the state's system. Someone, the most qualified person for the job, will be the new director of deaf and blind services. Several of you guys have mentioned that you would like to have one for the blind, one for the deaf. Sounds good. Nevertheless, probably won't happen. But you can rest assured that someone from within the agency is going to get that new position. Remember, the goal is to close cases. We have been fighting for more counselors for the blind in the state of Georgia. Currently, we have 7. And we would like to have 16 or 20 or how many the number is. But guess what? If the counselor is not adapt to closing cases successfully, we can have 50 counselors for the blind. Excellent O&M and cooking, teaching, training, whatever it's called. And still not become employed. And that's the bottom line with that one. The financials, same thing as usual. A bunch of numbers thrown out. When you ask for the numbers that actually matter, they're up in the office. Oh, I lost them. I dropped them. Someone was going to bring them, but they're at a convention. We heard it all before. I can pretty much tell you what they're going to say before they say it the minute you ask the question that matters. And as long as we continue to listen to them tell us, oh, it's at the office. Hey, we're at the office. You mind going to get those numbers and coming back? Or you mind pulling up your iPhone and using the shared service that you guys have and actually pull up the numbers? It's super easy. It's not hard. So the numbers that we asked for, how many disabled people, blind specifically, got employed in 2016. You know why we don't have the numbers? Because the software doesn't provide us the numbers. So we're getting new software. It's called the Ware. It costs millions of dollars and we still have to customize it ourselves and employ a humongous help desk community of people getting paid. I can pretty much guarantee none of those people will be disabled, even though the software is accessible. And what's the first question that our fellow blind people ask? And I told the lady before she even got up to speak exactly what was going to be asked. Hey, is it accessible to blind people? So she was ready. She immediately said yes. And we cooled our heels. And guess what? It will probably be the same counselor working on the system that has for years. Project Horizon. You remember that? Sucky name, and I told you it was. So, in just a couple of short months, all that work with Project Horizon, 300 people working to solve thousands of cases, that's disbanded. Now they have a new direction. Mind you, none of these directions have been proven. They're all guesswork. Because if the state knew how to employ people, they would be doing it. People look at the numbers. Every year they have to turn in a report to the feds, RSA. It has the total numbers of the cases closed. Doesn't matter what they tell us in the meetings. It has not been proven. It's all guesswork. Closing cases, it's all that matters. If it's not being closed, then they're just talking and being bobbleheads. All right. So the policies that are being made through the SRC and through your local agency, whether it's Georgia or Hawaii or California, whatever the case may be, are being made without your input. It's fine to come to a convention and, you know, you go to one convention, one of the groups tell you one thing. You go to another convention, the other groups tell you another thing. And then they compile the information and then they do what they want to do. Where the rubber meets the road is us as a community getting together, looking at the processes and providing the feedback that they're going to need to make an informed decision about what we want so that we can actually be the recipients of these $1 million software contracts. Do you realize, literally, why don't you, Sean? Literally, you can get developers out of India to comprise a HIPAA compliant software and be a competitor to the Aware software, who is rumored to have purchased the other software, so they'll have a market monopoly. So if you can imagine spending $10 million per state on this software that you still have to customize yourself, which means Georgia doesn't know how, they're going to have to put out another proposal bid for someone to come in and customize the software, or pay the developers hundreds of thousands of your dollars to do it. All of these positions that they're applying for, that they have out, did you realize that someone disabled could actually get them? It isn't rocket science. And if it requires this master's degree or bachelor's degree, we got super smart people getting paid and not producing any results. It's almost like news anchors getting paid and not being able to predict the weather correctly. But that's it. The next board meeting is rumored to be, until it's confirmed, at the Center for the Visually Impaired on Peachtree Street. It's going to be, I guess, a pretty good move. I don't know, what's going to change. But nevertheless, listen, so this is what's going on all across the United States at your SRC meetings. It's not just for Georgia. It's every single one that's happening. Most of the counselors, most of the people working inside the government in most states don't even realize what the SRC is and what it's for. Most of the SRC people don't know what their job is. It's a fragmented system that you can be a recipient of and help make better. So let's change the world. If you're watching this anywhere else but at fedoraoutlier.com, head on over there and check us out. Give us a like, a dislike, show us some reaction, and let's change the world together.